What up, friendos? Welcome back. We're talking today about a game I didn't even know existed. So a PC Gamer tweet popped up here, and I thought this was mad interesting, just as an idea. EA reportedly invested $125 million making a new single-player IP with zero microtransactions, no grind, a shorter running time, and guess what? No one bought it. Now, this headline isn't very good, because when I read this headline, what I think they're trying to say is, oh, you know, EA is justified in all the terrible microtransaction riddled fucking shite games that they release because they tried to release something that cost a bunch of money and it wasn't successful. But the article's actually a little bit more informative and better than you know the title gives off. So a new report by IGN into the wider topic of industry layoffs, which are worse than they've ever been, contains a fascinating insight about one of last year's less successful AAA titles. If you've not noticed, by the way, the games industry and the tech industry in general has been absolutely just fucking inundated with ridiculously large layoffs. Riot Games just had one of maybe their largest layoff ever, like 11% of their company. Activision Blizzard, after being purchased by Microsoft, of course, have just had a massive layoff. Pretty much all game companies at the moment are laying off a bunch of staff. And is it because they're not making money? No, the companies are still profitable, but that's unfortunately not how it works. Obviously, a lot of what happened during COVID was companies, specifically gaming companies and people like Twitch, stuff that wasn't impacted but instead was actually given a boon by the pandemic. They hired a bunch of people, started spending a bunch of money to spin up new projects and things like that. And then obviously COVID ended and people moved on and people started leaving their house again. And those budgets went down because, you know, you weren't getting your multi-year best profit because there wasn't as many people sat around, you know, not doing things, not going to work, not going out with their friends and things of that nature. So then you come to it a few years later and they've got a whole bunch of staff, they've got projects that failed, they've, you know, put money into places that didn't pay off. And then, of course, they have to fire a bunch of people. And sometimes that negatively impacts people that were working at the companies beforehand. They essentially spread themselves too thin. So now a lot of people are paying the price, which is obviously talking about the overall thing, not specifically this situation, because these guys were laid off because the game didn't do well. But we'll get to that one. Immortals of Avium, I think that's how you pronounce it, was the debut title from Ascendant Studios. Released on Steam and consoles in August 2022, came out to mixed reviews and largely sank without trace. A PCG's review called it a fun, magical FPS that, quote, fails to cast any new spells, on the way to a 68% score. Now, I looked at this because I'd never heard of this game. I'd have thought when a game from such a big publisher comes out, and they spent $125 million, which I believe is development cost and then marketing as well. I would have thought I'd have heard of the fucking game. I would have thought I'd have seen somebody playing the game. I would have thought I'd seen somebody talking about it. Cool. Cats are just breaking shit like usual as soon as I start recording. But I'd never seen this. I think I'd heard of the name. Or maybe I'm thinking of Immortals, the Phoenix one, which is like an Ubisoft. Is that an Ubisoft one, mate? We need more diverse video game titles because I don't even know at this point. Maybe a boomer take, but maybe that was Immortal Phoenix Rise, whatever, the one that people were saying looked like Breath of the Wild when Breath of the Wild was kind of, popping off. But Immortals of Avium, released in August of 2023. No idea this existed. It's now up to a mostly positive score, 71% recent, and you can get the game now for 60% off. Wow, maybe it's decent for that price. So the thing is, EA had invested big in this game, and Ascendant had some firm ideas about what the game-playing public might want from it. Immortals of Avium had a launch party where developers were asking higher-ups about how the game sales looked, and were met with evasive answers. Shortly afterwards, citing the game's underperformance, almost half the studio was laid off, around 50 people in total. Now, obviously, I don't like when people lose their job, but at the end of the day, if you are given $125 million to make a game, and the expectation is the game's going to be, you know, make profit from that $125 million. If it doesn't, and not only it doesn't, but it does really badly, yeah, of course people are going to lose their jobs. This is like one of the least egregious ones I think I've seen in a while. Again, not condoning people losing their jobs or saying that's a good thing, but at the same time, you can obviously understand from a perspective of running a business, if the game loses that much money and isn't, you know, a smash hit success, isn't even really considered a great game, like, you can just see he's just going crazy. He's just screeching for no reason. He does it every time I stop recording videos. I don't know why. I don't know how I can stop him doing it. And then he just runs around destroying furniture. So, quote, at a high level, Immortals was massively overscoped for a studio's debut project, said one of X-Ascendant employees. The development cost was around $85 million. That's a large chunk of change for your first game as a studio. You'd probably want to have them running like a smaller game, you know, get some cohesion together, see what they can do, and then build upon that success, especially with this being the first Immortals of Avium game. You know, this is not an IP that came in like Star Wars Jedi Survivor or something like that. This is not a Lord of the Rings game. This is not a Warhammer game. This is not something that people are already going to be looking at and thinking, wow, I need to play that. I love this universe or whatever. It's a brand new game from a brand new studio with EA publishing the game. You've got basically the makings of a complete flop here. So while I applaud EA for putting $125 million into a game and trying not to, you know, fuck your ass with monetization and just have it be a long-winded, grindy fucking mess, man, you did it in the worst way possible. So if you now use this as like a hammer to beat home the point that, you know, why would we invest in things like that? And because look at what happened when we did. That's fucking mismanagement. That is, that you did that. You could have done this way better and then given it a real attempt and then see whether or not you could make a bunch of money not having poor monetization by making good games, because realistically that's all people want. They want good games and they'll pay money for good games. I think EA kicked in $40 million for marketing and distribution. Sure, there was some serious talent of the development team, but trying to make a AAA single-player shooter in today's market was a truly awful idea, especially since it was a new IP that was also trying to leverage Unreal Engine 5. What ended up launching was a bloated, repetitive campaign that was far too long. Can't really speak on the game. It makes sense though. Like, how many AAA shooters do you see even come out and do really well? You know, you've got a lot of the shooter market tied up in things like Counter-Strike, Valorant, Call of Duty every year. You don't really see that many, you know, big shooter games come out and really fucking blow the market wide open, do you? So I'd not really thought about that, but shooting is kind of like a solved equation at this point. The game sold a tiny fraction of what was predicted, and while the blame for severe layoffs like this is often laid at the door of the publishers, in this case EA, some of those who worked on the title look back with regret on the style of game they made. Another Ascendant employee still with the company references a popular games industry X post that became something of a meme. I want shorter games with worse graphics, made by people who are paid more to work less, and I'm not kidding. Yeah, I mean, reasonable. If you look at a lot of Valve games, this is kind of the philosophy of why Valve games are so well received. They're paid well, they're not really rushed by anything, they don't really go for like the cutting edge graphics or anything. They just make what they want and they come out and they're usually fairly good games, which is the opposite of how you can see most of the AAA industry outside of companies like that. They're paid less, they work to the fucking bone, they focus a lot on the games looking pretty, and a lot of the time want you to buy into basically this game's going to be the one game you play for the rest of your life, like live service on everything. They want to basically churn out as much money as they can from as little effort as possible, so they're usually repetitive mechanics to keep you playing the game. So yeah, I'd even agree with this, even if it is a bit of a meme, the core idea of it, I agree. Well, Ascendant staff reckon that was what they were doing with Immortals of Avium. It's not a sequel or a remake, says the employee. It doesn't take 400 hours to beat, has 0 microtransactions, no pointless open world grinding. Although not everyone loved it, it reviewed pretty well, currently sitting at 74 on OpenCritic, and a mostly positive on Steam. No one bought it. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I never heard about the game, and I tend to keep my finger on the pulse a little bit with gaming being part of my job. Never even heard of anyone playing this game or talking about it at all. Didn't see it on social media. Never saw a review about it. Never saw it pop up on the front of Steam. So who knows what I was doing at that time, or maybe I just missed it, or it just didn't, where the fuck did that 40 million marketing go? Maybe my brain just got caught up on the other Immortals game and I just thought it was that and ignored it. But obviously 74 on OpenCritic it's a bang average fucking mediocre game, right? I'm not surprised nobody bought it if it's just an average AAA game, what are you getting here that you wouldn't get from something else for much cheaper, especially when the game first came out and it was undoubtedly like $60 or something like that. I'm going to hazard a guess with it being AAA and EA. about $60 with probably some other packages for more money. If you're telling me, oh, you know, you can pay $60 for this AAA game that's a debut from a studio that's published by EA, that's getting like a 74 Metacritic review, I'm saying no, I'll pass on that one. So I'm not surprised people didn't buy it. Think of how many amazing indie games you can get that you'll spend hundreds or thousands of hours for $60 nowadays. Like, it's a tough ask, to be honest. People will doubtless have strong opinions on whether Immortals of Aveum does indeed tick all those boxes, but that last line is stark indeed, and it does make you think about how easily layoffs like these are put at the door of the money men, when really, with something like this, it's just cold, hard economics. Yeah, I completely agree, for once. There's plenty of layoffs due to gross mismanagement, agreed, true, but there's also plenty that happen because this is a stupidly volatile market that requires mountains of capital to participate in at a professional studio level, says the ex-Ascendant staffer. Quote, for all the things Ascendant did right, paying people well, an entirely remote studio, little overtime until the end, chill environment with lots of freedom to grow, respecting QA, hiring juniors, etc., it did not work out. Yeah, I mean, it obviously sucks when this is the case, and it takes a lot of people don't really understand how fucking hard it is to make good games. And that's why you'll see these big companies churn out game after game after game that is the same formula, it's repetitive, because they know that works. So why would you change, you know, why would you fix what isn't broken? If it's selling, if it's making money, of course, that's the baseline of what a company wants to do. So they're going to keep making it. And it sucks because I personally like innovation, but they tried with this and they fucking failed. I would say that obviously this was just a poorly handled proposition. If somebody told me, you know, we're going to make our first game ever and it's going to be a AAA single-player shooter game, I'd be like, you know, don't know about that one, Chief. But Ascendant Studios remains active, though there's no news on its next project, and work on Immortals of Aveum seems to have wrapped up. Whatever else can be said about the game, and whether those employees' estimates of the investment are accurate, it represents one of the big publishers betting on a new IP without all the live service nonsense that the audience claims to hate. It represents a AAA studio running the way that the games industry Twitter hive mind thinks they should be run. None of this helped the game break through or sell enough to keep its makers employed. So this is the part of the article that I just I don't know why the fuck this is here. I don't really understand, because this is kind of like saying, you know, at least the way I read it, and I could be wrong, maybe this is not how the author intended it. This reads as if they're saying, you know, you people are wrong for wanting these things and not liking these things, because look, they tried it and it didn't work out. So, you know, haha, got you. Checkmate, atheists. But I don't think that has any bearing on anything whatsoever. This doesn't change shit. Again, maybe I'm just reading between the lines here in something that they don't mean, but it does read like that to me. Because obviously we have loads of examples of games that have done super well that have not done all the EA things, all the Ubisoft things, all the Activision things. So it just seems like a weird way to frame something that happened in an article, to be like, consumers who want better, you know, they tried to do better in a wrong way and they didn't manage it. So, you know, so yeah, gotcha or something. I don't know, bro. It's fucking weird. So I just wanted to look real quick at the Immortals of Aveum, like Steam DB, and see how many people played this. Oh my god, bro, that's way worse than I thought it was going to be, bro. A game that cost $125 million development, that would have been multiple years, of course, of development, peaked on release day at 751 concurrent players. Wow. I've seen fucking hentai games on Steam that probably took like a week and fucking $15 and 2 packets of Hot Pockets in the basement to make, have a higher concurrent peak of a game release than this. Holy shit, that's fucking rough. I can understand why EA were pissed now. Shit. It has a concurrent player count of 74 players. Yeah. I mean, I don't even live stream on Twitch ever, and I've had higher concurrent user live streams than this $225 million game had on release for their $60 box price. That's a real bad return on investment, because this is, maybe they sold thousands of copies for this, you know, maybe in the tens of thousands if they're lucky, for $125 million game. Man, I can understand now why EA's pissed. Better release another fucking shit football game and charge people to open packs, which is essentially child gambling, so that they can just release another game next year and have them do it again, because they love getting kids addicted to gambling so that they can make their billies. You know, $125 million. I've got to laugh in a way at corporate for this because, you know, fuck you. You do all the bad things, so you do deserve some L's here and there. And it is EA, one of the worst companies in video gaming for, you know, decades. But yeah, there we go. That's a funny one. Either way, thanks for watching. You can buy Gamer Supps now at the link in the video description. Look at this. Look at this lovely Gamer Supps cup that you can buy at the link in the video description. I don't actually know if this one's out. Maybe I've just spoiled something. They're probably going to contact me and be like, Kira, we sent you those and told you not to show them. And you didn't read that DM because you're really bad at doing that. But if you want to drink Gamer Supps, you can buy flavors like Anime Girl Thigh. You can buy that at the link in the video description and you get a discount. I get a kickback and we all win. We're all winners apart from EA and Immortals of Avium. But thanks for watching. Appreciate it. And look out for another YouTube channel I'm going to be releasing in the next couple of days if you're a fan of Magic the Gathering. Because I am going to be making a Magic the Gathering channel because fuck it. I don't have any free time as it is with the 2 channels I currently manage. So why not make a 3rd one and just never do anything ever again? So thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.